to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Hello, you're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Redder, get away from the computer. I need it. I'm trying to do a promo, Krang. Oh, do that later. Oh, fine.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show, and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
And I am still not Paul.
Once again, introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Sketch, the editor and host of the Toonami Faithful podcast. The other thing that Paul does and occasionally brings up on this podcast.
And I feel so bad because having you co-host this episode, it feels like I'm cheating on him. But to make matters worse, to go see this movie, I actually went to Paul's theater. I actually went to, because I needed to catch 11:30.
Scandalous.
Yeah. I was so hoping to run into him at the box office. He doesn't usually work the box office. Or sometimes I'll see him behind the counter, not that he works in concessions either. He's sort of like a manager, but usually he's around somewhere in the lobby area whenever I go to his job. And so I went and I was like, nope, he's not here. Then I go past the concession stand. Nope, he's not here. Not that I was going to buy any concessions, but nope, he wasn't there. Unfortunately, not today, not this morning, not at the 11:30 show. And with this being the first weekend, I couldn't have pulled the friend card and go, hey man, let me in for free. And at the 11:30 show in the morning, now of course I guess we should talk about it. We're going to follow up on it's weird. This is sort of a part 2 to an episode much earlier from 2014.
Yes,
the late great turtle debate. Which it feels weird to say that episode was 2 years ago. Jesus Christ, how long have we been doing this podcast?
So long. Yeah, actually, Toonami Faithful podcast just celebrated our 200th episode.
It feels weird to think that it doesn't feel like 2 years ago, but I guess
no, it really doesn't.
And even then, because we recorded that, it was months after the movie came out. I think it was just we finally got you on the show.
Yeah.
But so I like I said, just literally about 5 hours ago, I went to go see Ninja Turtle, so it's still fresh in my mind. So we went. What was I going to say? I didn't see Paul. Had to go take care of some errands. Now would have
been good if you saw Paul, because be like, hey, Paul, I'm going to see this Ninja Turtles movie. Then I'm going to talk about it on the podcast with Sketch. Be like, you son of a bitch.
And that's, what it is like, Paul is probably the only person that I know in Rochester that will probably come with me to go see Ninja Turtles. But since he works in the theater, all the movies I want to see, all the genre movies I want to see,
he should see it with his kid anyway.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I guess, so I'm there. And like I said, usually I could have played the friendship card and asked, for him to get me in for free. But I was there at 11:30. I was the only person in the theater. And, for a Tuesday morning, matinee, which somehow matinee ended up me paying $11.25, but that was for the 3D viewing. But I do like feeling like a king when you're sitting in the middle of the movie theater by yourself, like, la la la, I can do all the things I want, I can text and I can jump up and down and I can throw things at the screen. Not that I do anything like that, but so I guess we'll stay spoiler free in the beginning, even though I don't know, there isn't much to spoil in this movie. I guess
the trailers spoil pretty much everything.
Yeah, and at least we finally got a chance. I mean, obviously, the new additions to the movie, Bebop, Rocksteady, Krang, all the people from the original series, and we went into this way before the episode, but I never got into any other reiteration of the Ninja Turtles. I only watched the original cartoons, and a couple series, the seasons that followed. I never got into the 2004. I never got into the 2012. So. I don't know, all these other storylines and arcs and things that have allegedly happened in these series. I guess not allegedly, did happen. So having Krang, Bebop, Rocksteady, Casey Jones, that's right in my wheelhouse. That's, okay, it's not like they're bringing in, here's, some new third, some other character that I've, not at least I'm still relevant.
Venus de Milo, the female Ninja Turtle.
Oh, that's right. That had breasts under her.
That was so wrong. Oh, nah.
And then that would make it sort of like a Smurfette situation,
Totally.
She's like the only one, so who gets dibs on the one solo female? And could they have kids? Because what was her? I forgot her origin story, but she was.
She was Chinese, actually. She was Chinese. She referred to herself as a shinobi, which, by the way, is a ninja. She's like, I use shinobi magic. It's like, shinobi or ninja? She was like, don't call me a ninja. It's like, okay. So ninja's a bad word now. Okay, I see how it is.
But wait, Chinese aren't ninjas Japanese in nature?
Japanese, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so shinobi isn't even a Chinese word, as far as I know. But she like grew up in China, or maybe it was just Chinatown. I feel like it was just Chinatown. And like her father figure was like an old Chinese man who taught her magic and stuff, and was one of Splinter's friends. And then he like faces off against this evil dragon demon, and he gets captured or trapped or something. I don't remember all the details, but she ends up in the care of Master Splinter and the turtles, and is like, hey, there was a fifth turtle in the bowl you didn't know about. It was a girl, because reasons.
There's toy sales, that's why. And so I guess technically they could have kids.
Yeah, probably.
Now, would she have eggs, or would she actually get...
I think it would be eggs.
It would be eggs? Yeah, because they're more turtle than human.
Yeah, they're more turtle than human.
So, okay, with the movie, here we go. I guess, I don't... without getting into spoilers, I guess we kind of have to spoil how the one of the baddies is sort of introduced without going in. I guess it's not really a spoiler, I guess, to say that
the trailers show that Krang is in the movie, so therefore Krang is not a spoiler. Though the way that he is introduced, I suppose, would be a spoiler.
Yeah, that'll be spoiler. But I'm talking about not one of the baddies. I guess not the big baddie, but so Shredder. Here we go. We get him locked up in part one. Now magically he's being sentenced. He's going upstate. Now, of course, you have to understand. My New York City detector goes off whenever I see these movies, because I love like the first Ninja Turtles when they're sliding down like a mountain, and then like as soon as they fall off their mountain, they're like in Manhattan, and I'm like, there are no giant snowy mountains near the island of Manhattan. But so in this one, he's in custody, and of course he's in custody of the city, or what would be the county corrections. And he's going upstate. He's obviously a murderer 36 times over. So I guess he's going to be going to a state facility, because they're saying he's going upstate. Because if you were in the city, preferably Rikers Island, you would only be in, that's, I guess, and I guess in the movie's timeline, because they took about a year ago, because once again, it doesn't feel like a year ago, because when they introduce Vern's character, in this movie, they sort of say that Vern sort of takes the all the credit for the Ninja Turtles for the Ninja Turtles saving the city, since Vern was there. Will Arnett's character, oh my God, how could I forget his last name? Vern
Fenwick.
Vern. He earns the nickname the
Falcon.
And of course, Will Arnett playing a good character that loves, people loving him, even though he doesn't have anything to really show for it. Goes right up his alley, where it's, people think he's the hero that saved the city, but he isn't. So I lost my train of thought. So they're transporting the Shredder, I'm assuming, from city custody to state custody. And also being a corrections officer, because once again, not really a spoiler, Casey Jones is a correction officer in this movie, this is one of the big giant like slights, like what's going on here? What are they changing now? So in this one, they make Casey Jones a corrections officer, and he's part of the convoy to get the Shredder transported from, I'm assuming, once again, I'm just totally assuming, from the city to the state. And of course, my New York detector goes up because they're like, "Oh, we're on 87," which technically means, and if you look at the way the highway's shaped, it looks like the FDR Drive, and the convoy gets attacked by the Foot Clan. And of course, in all of my mind, I'm like, they haven't hit one single pothole yet. Like there's no way there'd be no traffic on the FDR Drive. I don't care if they have police escort. Even at 9 o'clock at night, there's traffic on the FDR Drive going up to the Major Deegan. So I guess without getting into spoilers, the Foot Clan succeeds in popping Sensei Shredder out, and then we find out behind the scenes.
They don't exactly succeed.
Well, I think they were trying to. He was on his way. He was on his way before he was intercepted, which I guess we'll save that for the spoilers. But then we get introduced to Jesus Christ! Why I just saw this movie? How could I forget?
Bebop and Rocksteady. Well, Bebop and Rocksteady are the two guys that are
inexplicably
with Shredder, who's getting sent upstate.
Yeah, they're for no reason whatsoever. And now, mind you, Bebop and Rocksteady. I mean, here we go. They explain Shredder. Okay, he's a murderer. 36 counts of murder. I guess they're going back to part 1 with all the damage he did to New York City. That I guess turned out to him murdering 36 people, including the William Fichtner character. Bebop and Rocksteady are on the same convoy. They never explain what crimes they've committed. They're just sort of like really roundabout thugs, guys that just sort of like, just guys who are like starting shit. They never explain why they're in the same, why if you have the most dangerous person, if we had caught, I don't know, what would be the equivalent? Like, maybe not Osama bin Laden, but some of that caliber. Why would he be transported with anybody else in the truck? So the Foot Clan do their best to help Master Shredder escape. And let me see what else happens after that.
You're forgetting about Baxter Stockman.
That's the word I was looking for.
Baxter Stockman is introduced as a scientist, world-renowned scientist who April thinks is aiding Shredder. Don't really explain why she thinks that, but she's like, I'm gonna try to get information off his portable device to make sure that he's really working with the Shredder, because I think he's working with Shredder. And, well, yeah, of course, that's right. So she tries to get some information from him, and Baxter is Baxter and Karai are sort of trying to work together to get Sensei Shredder out of police custody because, they don't want him to be up in the clink anymore.
Yeah, well, now, okay, so we have Baxter.
And their last-ditch effort is to use a transportation whatever that Baxter came upon, some kind of probably alien technology that he just found.
Mm. Now, so they have, obviously, Tyler Perry is playing Baxter Stockman in this movie. Now, obviously, Tyler Perry he's an own nerd. I mean, he was in the newer Star Trek movies. I think he's outed himself as a guy, who likes science fiction and stuff like that. So, I think he was more than happy to do this movie. I mean, he has his own empire to deal with. But, it is funny because, Tyler Perry is like 6'2" or something like that. I mean, he's a giant dude. And he's playing Baxter Stockman, which once again, in my experience, Baxter Stockman was always, pencil neck geek kind of guy.
Yeah, they may have artificially made him look shorter.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I didn't really think about it either, but given how tall he actually is, I think they may have done some creative camera work there.
Yeah, okay.
Not like Tom Cruise, but
the opposite of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was always like sitting down or because I think he was definitely sitting down
hunched over. It's like, oh, Sensei Shredder.
Yeah, anytime he was talking to Shredder, I think he was sitting down. Now that I think about it,
he was standing a lot of the time, but I think he was like not standing up straight because shy demeanor and wants to respect his sensei.
Oh, gotcha.
Why does he call him Sensei Shredder? I didn't.
Yeah, right. Is Baxter Stockman some sort of
Master Shredder? I would get. But Sensei Shredder, it seems like, what is Baxter Stockman a weeb in this? Maybe.
And why is he working for Shredder? They never really.
No, they don't explain that at all.
Because they keep. I mean, like twice or three times they mention, oh, here's Baxter Stockman. He graduated MIT at 15, and and he's brilliant nanotechnology. Scientist. Why does he need Shredder for? I'm pretty sure. Why would
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, kind of like how in the first movie, Eric Sachs, super wealthy guy, smart, doesn't really need Shredder's help, but inexplicably, Shredder,
and
everybody
has just so much charisma.
Oh yeah, he had lots of charisma in that movie and this movie as well. So much charisma.
Shredder definitely knows how to pick his partners. So with Baxter Stockman, and then I guess so we got the turtle.
Now, as a reminder, there was somebody credited as Baxter Stockman in the first movie. And I think there's like one black scientist among all the scientists that were in that one scene where the turtles were getting their mutagen drained out of them. So, yeah, I guess maybe it would have gone back that far, but they really don't. They don't explain anything, but whatever.
Now,
plot holes, whatever.
I'm just curious if a part 3 gets made, are we going to see Tyler Perry turn into a giant flyman? That's because think about it. I mean, I know he's a busy guy. He has to be. So, I mean, they would only need him for the first couple scenes in the beginning, and then he could just do all, booth work and just, be the voice and they could make a terrifying, Brundle fly character or something like that.
Oh gosh. It's just Jeff Goldblum's The Fly up in this. That would give Krang a run for its money for disturbing factor.
And so then we do get introduced to Krang. I guess I don't know. It's not really a spoil. I mean, I guess we won't spoil how, but Krang introduces his plan to Shredder, and now we finally see them together. Where I kind of, once again, thinking about the old cartoon, I kind of wish they played off each other a little more instead.
Me
of just,
too.
I'm evil. You're evil too. We're both evil. I wish it had a little more like jokes and not that Shredder was ever Shredder never really made jokes.
This Shredder had a stick up his butt. I mean, the other, like the cartoon Shredder, he took himself very seriously, at least at first. Mm-hmm. But eventually, Shredder and Krang acted like an old married couple.
Yeah,
it's like,
when you're talking,
Shredder, it's your turn to take out the garbage. It's not my turn to take out the garbage, Krang. It's Bebop and Rocksteady's. Oh, boss, it's always our turn. That's right, because I'm the boss. Well, see who the boss is.
Oh, shut up, you bucket of brains, or brain bucket.
Yeah, so Brad Garrett does an interesting voice for Krang. It's kind of like a really deep version of the cartoon Krang voice, but without croaking. without the croaking, because who can do the croaking but Pat Fraley? Like the Transformers movies, I sure would have liked it if they had actually gotten Pat Fraley, but oh well.
Yeah, I think of all the voices. I mean, that's what if they didn't even get wow, why is my brain not working? The voice of Megatron, the original voice of Megatron.
Yeah.
If they didn't get him to be Megatron, and then they brought him in like in part 2 to be like Soundwave or something like that, like it just
He was also Soundwave, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But Hugo Weaving was just wasted as Megatron. Let's get that out of the way.
We just need an evil voice or whatever, and it's. Once again,
Mr. Anderson.
For people going to that movie, I mean, not that we're going to veer off into Transformers, which there is a.
Yeah, nobody went to that movie to hear Hugo Weaving as Megatron.
Yeah. But, once what I do like is there is a Transformers Easter egg, or not, I guess Easter egg is something a little more hidden. This is a little more obvious, showing that these universes are, at least it's a nod, it's a wink and a nod to the Transformers.
They did do the at the parade, the Halloween parade, Michelangelo meets a guy who's got a really neat Transformers costume and does like the and stands up like he's a robot, and then he pounds Michelangelo's hand and then and off he goes.
Yeah, and I've seen people do that on the internet. They do have like people that are stand up like robots and then get down and kind of hunch over and the
That's some pretty advanced cosplay.
and they can roll and stuff like that. Now the one thing, once again, one of my New York radar bullshit detector goes up because this parade, and let me tell you, I love the New York City Halloween parade. This is something that I can honestly say probably from well into my later 20s. I would say from my teens to my 20s. I don't think I missed a year for a good 10 to 15 years. This one looked oddly like a Day of the Dead in Mexico parade.
It did.
I guess they were kind of, I don't know if they were trying, I mean, obviously you can't have too many licensed characters or whatever, but, it's New York, they had so many people with like skull painted faces, and that was not necessary. Not that, I have anything against skull painted faces or that kind of culture thing, but.
I actually got a Mardi Gras vibe out of it.
Yeah, I mean, and let me tell you, from someone that's been to, like I said, at least 10 to 15 New York City parades, I mean, they should have had more and then, once again, here's a perfect time. And of course, yes, okay, they had the Bumblebee character. They could have introduced, they could have had a million Easter eggs in that scene of characters from Hasbro or whatever, I guess these are all Hasbro. Characters, or were they the Ninja Turtles or the toys from?
No, Ninja Turtles were Playmates.
Oh, okay.
And Playmates kind of only ever did Ninja Turtles, as far as like boys action brands go. Mm-hmm. They did a few things here and there. I think they did the Toxic Crusaders, which was practically Ninja Turtles. Even though Toxic Avenger was, I'm pretty sure Toxic Avenger maybe didn't predate the Ninja Turtles comic. I don't know. I'm going to stop because I don't know, and I don't like to say things when I don't know.
We're guys nerdier than us know the exact. So I just one teeny tiny, like I said, once again, a teeny tiny argument was that
you could have had because Paramount is the overseeing company, so you could have had SpongeBob, you could have had Star Trek, you could have had Transformers as they did. Pretty much anything Viacom owned feasibly could have been in there, and Viacom owns a lot of things, including everything on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously New York City being New York City, you see a lot more, and the most PC way I could say it, a lot more fabulous floats, I guess would be the best way to put it. And there wasn't that much of that. This looked more like a Day of the Dead. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with people wearing 30-foot FOA, feathered boas and feathered things, shooting 30 feet up in the air and stuff like that. Like not even exaggerating, or you have to be careful when you pass by under a red light or something like that. That to me, that's the New York City Halloween parade. But once again, small argument. I guess.
Okay, on that question of New York authenticity, could you get to the Knicks Stadium from the sewer?
Well, I mean, I guess technically, there's got to be a lot of toilets in Madison Square Garden.
Oh, you.
But my thing
is it in any way like underground? Because it seemed like they went underground to get there, which is odd.
No. The Madison Square Garden is well above ground, but I think they kind of because remember they jumped out of the sewers, grabbed the pizza. And that's once again, New York City bullshit detector comes out. Where the guy was standing for his pizza doesn't look anywhere near Madison Square Garden. Unless maybe it was a couple blocks away. And it
was probably several blocks away. This was part of their workout.
Yeah, and they jumped. Probably jumped a few blocks over rooftops, and then made it to Madison Square Garden. Which then again, really, one pizza for 8-foot tall turtles? They're gonna eat one fucking pizza?
No.
And you see the guy checking his phone, so I guess it was paid for with credit card or something.
yeah, they must paid for it with credit card. They got the turtle credit card like the bat credit card.
So they snatched the turtle, and I did like they showed the Knicks playing, and I'm glad it was like the Knicks and it wasn't like the New York the New York Knights or some shit like that. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was an actual Knicks game.
And then later on in the movie, for no reason whatsoever, they have Carmelo Anthony in the movie. He has a cameo in the movie for no fucking reason whatsoever, other than someone who created the movie, was probably a fan of his and decided to have him because he talks to Vern's character, which I don't know is Carmelo. Let me Google that real quick because I'm really and it's one of those deals where like I know people who grew up with him and stuff like that and I know he's like half African American, half Puerto Rican, but is he Carmelo? Okay. I'm sorry. He is a Knick. He is in the New York Knicks right now. So, they're at a Knicks game. They're in Madison Square Garden. And then, magically later on in the movie, Carmelo Anthony has a speaking part for no explanation other than, like I said, someone's probably a fan of his who created the movie. So the Turtles, they got Baxter Stockman. Krang tells him he needs the parts of this transportation device, which, once again, they never really explain why he's...
We're veering into spoiler territory now.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. And we are kind of like halfway through where this episode would be. So, I guess before we get into spoilers, you want to...
General thoughts here. This movie has lots of turtles. It is all about the turtles. The turtles are the stars. That was my biggest beef with the first one, and I am glad that has changed for the better. The other thing is, even though people often said the first movie was for children, I had a problem with that because I felt like it was overly violent for a children's movie, and this movie definitely dials that back. So the point, even though it's PG-13, about the only thing inappropriate for children in this movie is a few swear words, which the
nowadays
1990s
kids.
Movie was definitely guilty of. Got myself kicked out of kindergarten one day for uttering Raphael's favorite word from the 90s movie. Do you know what that word means, young man? No.
Wait, what?
No, I don't.
I know what he curse. He curse real loud in a scene.
He says it like 3 times.
What does he say?
He says damn. He says damn.
Oh,
like damn.
Because I know there's one scene where he yells it like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He really loud.
He's facing off with Casey Jones. Casey Jones gets away, and Raphael's running after him. Come back here! I'm not finished with you. Damn.
Now,
what was that? Looked like sort of a big turtle in a trench coat. I love that movie.
And
that was playing on Sci-Fi the other day. I was like, this movie takes me to my happy place. Oh, it's so campy.
And let me tell you, okay, and what now? I'll give my thoughts on it. I really like this movie for what it was, for what it's based on, for outrageous as it's supposed to be. I enjoyed it. This is a full-on summer popcorn film, and when I say popcorn film, in no way am I trying to be insulting. This is a movie that it was fun, it was exciting, entertaining. I do have a special place in my heart for Ninja Turtles, but I think you can come into this movie sort of, even if you've never seen the cartoons and you're not, I think and it's sad that it had such a disappointing opening weekend because according to Variety, it says that they only made like $35 million this weekend when the movie itself cost $135. Really smashing any fucking chance of there being a sequel. But I can hope because I actually like the way it was paced well. I think I don't think it dragged out for a movie that's 2 hours long. Because once again, I was trying to schedule my morning, and I usually don't care how long a movie.
No,
is.
pacing was good.
And I watched it. And I was like, is an hour and 53 minutes. And it was good. I have to say I really enjoyed it. Before we get into the spoilers, but I guess one of the arguments I actually heard someone say is, "Oh, it's too much like the cartoon," and I'm like, "Well, that's how it's supposed to be like the cartoon, or at least the original 80s or 90s cartoon. The original.
Yeah, the 80s cartoon. This is a big budget, half CGI remake of the early Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon from the 1987. Like, it establishes how Shredder meets Krang. You could even argue that may have been how Shredder met Krang. They never really, I don't think they ever explained that in that cartoon. I mean, there's 200 episodes, so kind of hard to pin down exactly what episode that might have gotten brought up, but it definitely wasn't established in the first 5 where you are introduced to Krang and Shredder's dynamic. So it's it's all about the same we're going to take over the world nonsense from the 1980s cartoon, and it's like a long episode of a Saturday morning cartoon. And in a lot of ways, that is perfectly good. In other ways, it doesn't make for great cinema because it's a stale storyline that we've seen plenty of times in better movies, like Avengers. So yeah,
I was so waiting for, that's almost like a joke now, the big blue beam that shoots up in the sky from the ground, and there's something kind of like that. Once again, it's under spoilers, but I mean, it does follow, it definitely follows structure. It definitely follows, they're not breaking any ground.
No, definitely not breaking any ground with this movie. But at the same time, I feel like it makes up for all of the. I wouldn't go so far as to say. How do I put this? Not this is actually not regarding the 2014 movie. I'm talking about the old movies. Mm-hmm. This is kind of like an apology letter for all the people that wanted certain things in the second live action Ninja Turtles movie. You finally got Bebop and Rocksteady. You finally get Krang. You finally get other elements from that cartoon. The kinds of things that people really wanted to see in the second Ninja Turtles movie, which you did not get.
Yeah.
And you did not get until this point. So in that way, it's kind of an apology letter for that movie, which is fun and kind of bad, but entertaining to an extent. But this movie's probably better than that one. In at least a lot of ways. It maybe doesn't have as much heart, but as far as... fairly simple, safe for kids, action adventure movie with a basic plot. It's not bad at all. It's very serviceable. It's a decent movie. Just don't go in expecting like Captain America Civil War.
Yes.
It's not that. It was never intended to be that. I wish that there was a Ninja Turtles movie that was that good. But until they even top the 1990 movie, sorry, it's just not going to happen. And if you can't do Ninja Turtles well, if you do it dark, like they did in 2014, then do it well campy. That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you mentioned Civil War, because quite frankly, of all the movies that I've seen recently, okay, besides Civil War and maybe The Force Awakens, this was the most fun I had in the theater. The movie felt fun to me. And that's, that to me, fun is a lot of points. I can get away. You can get away with a lot of nonsense, like a giant brain and a and a robot.
It was fun. It was very fun. And unlike the Transformers movies, it wasn't insulting your intelligence.
Yeah.
Like the Transformers movies are offensive. This movie, all right, there's a fart joke. Big deal.
Okay, yeah.
Other than that, it's silly.
Yeah,
but
by the characters who should have done a fart joke.
Yeah, exactly. It's by the characters that should have done a fart joke, because that is entirely in line with their characters. It's Bebop and Rocksteady. Listen.
Yeah.
Bebop. Who was it? Rocksteady. Rocksteady farts in Bebop. Oh, no, maybe it was the other one. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Bebop.
By the way, Gary Anthony Williams as Bebop is so great. Mm-hmm. I love it. My man!
I dug Seamus. I liked both the.
What
the
problem
casting.
with Seamus's voice as Rocksteady is it was just kind of plain. Mm-hmm. Particularly when that one scene where he's like, "Whoa, that was my bad." I was like, "That doesn't sound like Rocksteady." But yeah, I did like how they played off each other. They were really good.
Yeah,
Tyler Perry was very good as Baxter Stockman. I felt like he was a little too over the top, silly, but
he was camping it up a bit.
Yeah, he was definitely camping it up a bit. This is gonna be good. And he was just classic mad scientist. Soon the world will know the name Baxter Stockman. There will be but footnotes.
And there was, and I'm totally stealing this from the Weekly Planet podcast. They had said that would have, okay, so, and it's not really a spoiler, whatever, where Splinter goes, you won't be anything. I mean, I keep saying Splinter? I should say Shredder. Shredder said, you're not going to be anything. What they said, he should have said, you're not even a fly.
He totally should have said that.
Had he said something like that, that would have been, beautiful little.
But I do like the pun that you'll be a footnote.
Yeah.
Because it's the Foot Clan. Oh, yeah. By the way, these, they're ninjas this time. The Foot Clan are ninjas this time. They're not very good ninjas.
Well,
it's sad who they lose to in some capacities. And Karai's a joke in this movie. Like, she wasn't much of a character in the first one, but she was like the field ops person. And in this movie, she's just sidelined. It's sad. Which is weird, because they recast her. Why even bother if you're going to...
They said she had a sword. She didn't have a sword. She had like a
dagger.
She had
close enough.
It was like a glorified dagger.
But none of the foot ninjas had guns.
That was just you stole the words right out of my mouth. I was the one thing I was so pleased in this movie that was a giant argument that I had from the first movie is that
bulletproof turtles here.
Yeah, it was everybody, they either had swords. I think they all had swords, but they that was it. I know Uzis or whatever they had in the first movie.
Yeah, none of that nonsense. I mean, they had like things that could explode.
Mm. Oh yeah,
but they didn't have like military weapons.
So yeah, I'm so glad that I don't know if they took note or whatever from the internet, because
they definitely took notes from the internet, because it's a lighter movie, it's a funner movie. There's more turtles, there's less April. There's more iconic characters, and it's more kid appropriate. And I feel like those are all things that at least a lot of people brought up about the previous movie. And they kind of push aside all of the remaining plot threads from that first movie just to introduce a bunch of new stuff, which is, I don't know. But a lot of people feel like it was sort of a reboot, even though a lot of the things were carried over. It was still sort of a reboot, because like the ninjas instead of military people, Shredder was more of a human and less of a robot. And I guess that's the main thing. Oh, and the turtles are slimmed down. They still look a little ugly as sin, but they're a bit better. And Splinter also looks nicer. They did better animation for him.
Yeah, less phallic.
Yeah.
Less like a cock and balls. And then, and less clutter on their shells. Less.
Yeah, I think there was about as much, but it's not as noticeable because they're slimmer. Except for Raphael, he's still about as bulky because he's the muscle. Which, by the way, if you didn't know their roles, they explain it right in the opening.
Which I don't mind, because there was a joke in there. So I don't mind that they do the whole, the brains, the muscle, the leader. So
you remember when I was talking about how you didn't spend enough time with the turtles, that you never really the emotional attachment wasn't there when they had those moments? It was all there this time.
Oh yeah.
You spent enough time with the turtles. There is an inner conflict there about the turtles wanting to come out of the shadows. Ha ha! Clever title. And now some of them have differing opinions on whether or not they should, for whatever reason. So there's that, and there's a good family dynamic here. It's kind of a stale one, because in a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff, it's like, oh, Leonardo can't get the other ones to fall in line with him, and he's struggling as a leader, blah, blah, blah. That's it's a pretty common Ninja Turtle story. And the main threat is also a really common Ninja Turtle story, so it's a bit stale, but at least some of that has never been done in film before. So there's that. But I feel like the real downer here is Casey. It's not any Casey that is like in the 80s cartoon. He was a whack job. he totally unhinged and kind of mellowed down at a point. And by the way, one of the greatest memorable episodes of Ninja Turtles was when Casey Jones went to was called Corporate Raiders from Dimension X, and he goes to this business where Krang and Shredder are like brainwashing people, and he like becomes an upstanding member of society. That show was silly. But this Casey Jones, he's a pretty boy. He's played by Stephen Amell. You don't get to see him in the mask very often. He doesn't have.
Why would you put the face?
Yeah, exactly. And the kind of weird thing is, he sort of fills the role that Megan Fox's April did in the previous movie, and how it's A young adult professional wants to prove themselves, has a dream. In this case, he wants to be a detective. That came out of nowhere. Oh, and along with really common trope in films and television, there's the police chief that's all like, Jones! Yeah, so there's that.
All right, so
But overall, it's a better movie. I don't think it's a great movie, but if I had to compare it to other Ninja Turtles movies, it might actually be second to the 1990 movie. But the hinge there is I still want to give it to TMNT 2007 for second, because that has the great Leonardo versus Raphael fight, and that's really the only reason you see that movie. Otherwise, the plot's pretty meh.
And that was the computer-generated one, right? That was the totally CGI?
CGI animated one. And, it might tie that one, because overall it's more of a... for one thing, it deals with all the iconic characters, and that movie decidedly did not. I mean, the Foot Clan's in there, and Karai is in there, but it's all like, Shredder isn't here, and we're going to leave hints that Shredder will be back. Like, oh, that never got a sequel, so whatever. But I am bummed that Shredder, even though he is a character this time, and it's kind of amusing to see him be like the one serious character among all these idiots. Well, Baxter's not an idiot per se, but he's a goofball.
Yeah.
So it's like the cartoon in that regard, because Shredder is always like trying to take everything seriously, and he has all of these morons working for him. And much like the cartoon, he's using morons to work for him when it's like, oh, come on, man. You're a capable martial artist. Why don't you get some of this stuff done yourself? So, in that regard, props to the first movie for actually having Shredder fight, even though he was like a robot.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that kills me. I just, actually, that's veering into spoiler territory. Mm-hmm. So, Shredder is kind of underutilized in this movie. I mean, he's there for a lot of it, but I feel like he's underutilized, and that's a shame. Because Brian T. seems alright for Shredder. Whatever. So, it's a silly movie. As long as you take the approach that this is not serious at all, you'll probably have a good time.
Total popcorn. And I hate when people talk about like Fast and the Furious and you turn off your brain and watch it. I mean, that sounds insulting to say turn off your brain, but I totally mean it when I say popcorn movie. As in, you know what? It's a warm afternoon.
I had popcorn when I watched it.
Yeah, you want to get out of the sun and you want to get into a nice air conditioned movie theater and I do feel that
decent time killer.
Yeah, it's loyal to the cartoon, but I think you could come into this movie as a newbie. I think you don't have
maybe. I feel like people who aren't would be really lost. But there's a lot of action movies that don't give you a lot of explanation for various things. So if you come to it with that approach, yeah, sure, you could certainly enjoy it. I mean, the Turtles are entertaining, regardless. And I guess I would say Casey is pretty entertaining, even though I feel like he's more fast-talking than he probably should be. Megan Fox is actually maybe worse is April in this movie. It seems like she was doing some better acting in the previous one, probably because she had a lot more screen time. But in this movie, after a point, it seems like she's just there to pose.
Yeah. I mean, at least in the first movie, they kind of like, they wrote it, not that they wrote it off, they explained it away where it's sort of like, oh, they got me doing these fluff pieces and so I, because I'm pretty. And this one, she's like, she's not a reporter. She's not even trying to report. Now that I think about it, or did she get fired?
Well, she does report at the very end. She does report at the very end, but I think she doesn't like. I don't know how she gets paid because it doesn't seem like she's doing any work.
Yeah,
I mean her character, April. Megan Fox is getting paid to stand there and look pretty.
She probably gets paid because she steals clothes from vendors in the subway.
That was kind of checked up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can just do that? She's a better wig.
Yeah, she's one of the heroes in this movie, and she's stealing,
Maybe she put it back.
Stealing clothes, and And one thing, thank God, this movie seemed less of a cell phone commercial.
Yeah, there was a lot less
One's-
product placement, but there was still product placement.
Oh yeah, there still was, but it just I don't know. The first movie literally felt like, oh, let's see what I can do with this phone. Let's see what I can do with the phone. And then like
I
all
got
the
some
scenes.
secret orange crush behind the fridge, and all the pizza places in New York, and you don't get authentic New York pizza. You get freaking Pizza Hut. Come on.
Exactly.
Come on. And they had enough of that stuff to have like a couch made out of the boxes, which is, well, they live in a sewer. So
There was the Crush product placement in the Turtlemobile, or what is that? Was the proper name for that? The turtle truck? Because
I
it as a child.
don't know what they called that one. I like Tortunga Brothers. Whatever that was. Like, it was a garbage truck, I guess. I don't know. But we can definitely get into spoiler territory here. So all I feel like I really need to say here is they definitely went the other direction. And one might argue they may have gone too far the other direction, but it's a good kids movie.
I enjoyed it.
That's okay. And if you loved the 80s cartoon, you're probably going to like this movie. Like, you might like it a whole lot. So
Just someone like me.
yeah,
right.
exactly.
So here we go. Spoilers. You've been warned. Spoilers. Okay, what is there to spoil that we...
Oh, there's so much.
We'll be back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Click and Hit, enhancing the experience for all recreational smokers. Click and Hit is a one-handed portable vaporizer. This smoking pipe has a compact 4-stage design, complete with a built-in, windproof, butane refillable torch lighter. The large burn chamber holds your stash of legal herb or pipe tobacco. Click the button to ignite and inhale as usual. When you are done, put it back in your pocket for later. Smoke anytime with the touch of a button. No more carrying around grinders and tins. You can leave the pipe, rolling papers, and even your lighter at home. The Click and Hit cordless vaporizer is no bigger than a normal cigar, making it the world's smallest and most discreet vaporizer. It's perfect for use in small places or shared rooms. It's efficient, getting 5 to 8 draws from your packed chamber. It's affordable at just $19.95 each. Buy 3 and the shipping is free. Buy 4 and you get the 5th one free. Visit www.click-hit.com. That's clickandhit.com. And now, for listeners of Two Strangers, One Podcast, you can use promo code STRANGERS and receive 10% off your purchase at clickandhit.com. That's promo code STRANGERS for 10% off your purchase.
And we're back. Okay, so what to spoil about this movie?
Spoilers in a half shell. You've been warned.
Can I say that I liked Krang? I liked his suit. Why the fuck didn't they just keep him in the suit? I don't understand why they just couldn't do... Like, I understand...
Obviously, he didn't fit well in there. That was pretty great. Push me in! Push me! Push! It's like reverse birth. It was also kind of weird to like hanged out of the suit.
Yeah, it's like there's all these tentacles holding him up.
Way to expose yourself in your like soft, fleshy parts.
Yeah, it's not, he's not. And then even in the middle of the fight, he's hanging out on the shoulders of the robot. It just
shows how awesome he is because he doesn't even worry about getting attacked.
Oh, I was, like I said, he looked good. I like what they did with the exoskeleton or whatever you want to call it. Put him inside. That's the whole point of the character was this weird brain sucking out of the stomach of this hulking, ugly beast or whatever. Not, and he's not in it. It's
like a big naked baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It also seemed to make that thing a little bit sentient, which is kind of amusing.
Yeah, calling it a dumb robot, and it kind of shoved him in there.
Yeah.
And then
total fanboy moment there when he rearmed and he had like the ball and chain and was like, just like in the cartoon.
Mm-hmm. He's literally rearming.
Guys, this guy's literally rearming.
Okay, other thing that kind of pissed me off when we mentioned earlier, the Casey Jones not wearing the mask. And once again, I guess when you get a pretty boy like Stephen Amell, you kind of show the face. But even like later on, okay, when they get into the building and he smashes up his car to get in the building, and somehow he magically makes rollerblades out of a desk chair or something, which that was really stupid. I mean, why couldn't he just go back to the trunk of his car and pull out the mask? That would have been a cool action sequence with him fighting Bebop and Rocksteady, or at least trying to distract them or whatever the case may be, and have him, put on the mask and find rollerblades in his car. If he's a hockey guy, why wouldn't he have street, people who play, friends who play street hockey have rollerblades, and
obviously he's capable of using rollerblades. So
I mean, it's in the scene. They could have had him go over to the car, pop open the trunk. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even looking at the car, seeing how smashed up it is, and kind of wincing.
Did he actually find a hockey stick there? Because he found like a hockey stick looking thing, and I wasn't sure if it was a hockey stick or not.
Yeah, because what did they call it? He called it. Bebop called it something. Oh, that swizzle stick or something. Something. He called it some name or whatever. But he found something that was odd, if not a hockey stick, oddly similar to a hockey stick. And once again,
oddly shaped metal that looked like a hockey stick.
All of this stuff could have been found in his trunk, And wow, I got to tell you, I was a correction officer with the state, and let me tell you, of course, okay, I got married, but I never had any kids. But what a nice car he drove for a guy that's a correction officer. Most of the guys I worked with, drove Nissan Sentras, and
It was believable until then.
Toyota Corollas, yeah. I mean, I could believe, right? I believe in 6 foot tall, Ninja Turtles, but I don't believe that a New York City correction officer can afford a whatever, super car that he had.
That's your New York bullshit radar.
And
speaking of scenes along those lines, did the Falcon really take down a trained ninja by getting the drop on him? What the shit? Also, how did Karai lose? Really? Karai. Oh, man, they really ruined Karai in this movie.
Now, didn't she die in the first one? I couldn't.
No,
she died, or they got.
She didn't die. She almost died. Like the turtles attacked her, and it seemed like she was going to die, but she lived.
Okay, for some reason I thought she was gone. I don't know why. I got to rewatch that first one, or maybe not. Yeah. I don't know. I was kind of pissed off that they didn't have a elevator scene in this one.
Oh yeah, but like the whole movie was an elevator scene in that regard.
Yeah, I mean it's just
the bros having a moment, camaraderie. There was a lot of that going on, but yeah, there wasn't like a particular moment where the turtles are like chilling.
Yeah, like you would think there's a scene where they're with the NYPD and they're charging the building and they're running towards like an elevator, or at least they're entering the lobby of the building. And I thought, wow, okay, here we'll get like a second elevator scene, a bit of a cute little callback, or maybe even they start like doing like music and then something smashes through the building, because they have
that would be great. That would have been great if they had done that. Like they start getting into an elevator, it's like. It's like, oh, well, I guess this is our stop. Yeah, that would have been good.
And inexplicably, once again, there's a lot of in a movie that's so outrageous. They open this warp, trans-dimensional warp to get the Technodrome through, and they go through all the trouble of getting these 3 pieces, but it's not big enough to get the whole Technodrome through. The Technodrome still has to dismantle.
You gotta bring it in pieces.
And it's not like those pieces are that big. I mean, of course, okay, with the small piece, okay, they could transport Shredder. So I guess the other 2 pieces are some sort of amplifier or whatever. But, I mean, those pieces were big, but they weren't that big. It was like shipping containers. There was nothing.
I don't know. That was kind of a weird choice, but it was kind of cool to see the turtles fighting on a partially completed Technodrome.
Yeah.
There was this thing's going to be up in 10 seconds. I was like, it doesn't look like it's going to be up in 10 seconds.
There's plenty of parts flying around. And then they get rid of it by. Is
there only one room in the whole Technodrome? Because it looks like it's just, inside of it's just a big room with a console. Oh, no. Actually, they did show when Shredder gets frozen. and put in the trophy case. And I really want to scan that scene for Easter eggs, and I'm hoping that there's some in there.
Yeah, there has to be like neutrino.
But it went by so fast. I think they mentioned neutrino
when they go into the Museum of Science.
Yeah.
Say, it has neutrino traces of neutrino atoms or something like that. So
Hey, by the way, Shredder, maybe don't tell your giant Warthog and Rhino man to break things to find things. You gave them a freaking tank? Sorry, that was my bad. I got a little carried away.
I got this giant piece of alien technology. Just run into it, please.
Yeah, and like that whole scene when they're juggling the other one, I'm like, really, guys? Don't you both understand the importance of that thing? You should be a little bit more careful
with the totally extremely rare piece of alien technology popping up through, and I mean, it
doesn't take long to get a flight to Brazil, huh?
Yeah, and then to jump, then to go from plane to plane.
Okay, how did Bebop and Rocksteady get on one flight, much less two?
Well, I was under the assumption that was like a personal jet, right? Because
maybe
because they rolled the tank onto the damn jet. Because remember, they shoot out the whole front. So I'm assuming it was.
Oh, maybe it was. And oh boy, rough on those pilots.
Yeah, I guess it's.
This is the last time that I fly a giant Rhino and Warthog anywhere.
And their tank to Brazil.
Tank to Brazil. Look, that's the episode title. This is the last time I fly a giant Rhino and Warthog and their tank to Brazil. I mean, that just sounds funny. Oh, bring back the mock. Good for you. I loved Bebop and Rocksteady in this movie. They
great. I think
they were
their own
so
movie.
funny, so entertaining. My man. Hey, Beebs. Never heard Rocksteady call Bebop Beebs before, but it works.
Yeah, there was definitely chemistry there. I enjoyed it.
It's just like, we're gonna start up our own criminal enterprise. We're done being errand boys. Oh, hi there. Oh, what do you need? I need errand boys. Yeah, we're good with that.
Well, that's sort of like when Baxter Stockman said, "I don't want to be a footnote." He goes, "You'll be a footnote."
I don't want to be a footnote. Then you will be a fly. I really don't want to be a fly.
Yeah, then you got 6'4" friggin' Tyler Perry struggling with two guys much smaller than him. Because Tyler Perry's legs are flopping all over the place. Because it's trying to make it believable that they can
don't
wrestle.
Put me in there. The villains in this movie are really over the top. And like, oh my gosh, at the very end they're crying, "I'll be back." Like, no you won't if this movie doesn't make enough money. But here's hoping, Krang.
I mean, they mentioned the neutrinos. I was once again. I had a feeling once they put Shredder in that jail cell. I was once again. I was like, I was looking to see if there was nothing obvious. There was no.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was looking for, but I was looking for something, and I didn't. No. Alien.
It just looked like a bunch of frozen figures in there. All right, here's the big thing that I am so mad about. No rematch between the Turtles and Shredder. What? Come on. He's not a robot anymore. You could have had, like, Shredder should be able to fight the Turtles without, like, a ridiculous armor and still, do well.
He's hold his own, yeah.
Yeah, but no, instead we have the Turtles fighting another robot. And that's, oddly, I think the action kind of took a step down in this movie in at least certain ways from the first one, because the Turtles, like, never use their weapons. Mm-hmm. Yeah, until they fight Krang, because he's a big robot, so that's totally okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Once again, like
the first thing they're doing, they're like fighting the Foot Ninjas in their truck. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, Nunchaku's Giganticus. Those are pretty great. Like, hey, those are pretty cool, right, Mikey? Yeah, they're. Oh, somebody must have noticed that.
Yeah, big giant piece.
I really liked when Raphael was like, "I'm bored." Boof. Anything else I can do for you?
You're not using me to my potential.
Yeah, not being used to my potential. In the 2003 series, Raphael has a motorcycle that he flies out of the van, truck, whatever, which would have been cool. I was kind of hoping he would stick with the motorcycle after he jacked it, but whatever. Ninja's the art of invisibility and all that.
Yeah.
Raphael's the biggest one now, so he's kind of not, whatever. Also, why can't you let Michelangelo chill out in the Halloween parade for a little longer? Nobody's gonna guess that it's not a costume. Except they'll be like, why are you like a turtle wearing human clothes? That's kind of weird.
You're a human dressed as a turtle trying to dress like a human. Why
That's
do you have...
a freaking concept. It's my original character. Oh, okay.
My original cosplay.
Yeah, exactly. Not enough Splinter in this movie. Not nearly enough Splinter. Because he looks better, and you got a little bit more of the time. How would they trick Casey to go fight him? That was great. Casey's boring in this movie, unfortunately. This is the most boring Casey Jones. The 2012 cartoon has a teenage Casey Jones that is obnoxious. This one's just boring.
Yeah, I think
never gonna match Elias Cortez in the 1990 movie, who was he was kind of an asshole, and it was great.
I mean, they had a perfect opportunity of, okay, he's a correction officer, he loses his job. They should have, instead of suspending him, straight up firing him. And that's the straw that breaks the camel's back that makes him into a vigilante. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, in this case, in all other iterations of Casey Jones, one day, guy's like, I'm sick of all this crime. I'm gonna beat up criminals because I'm a little unhinged. Yeah.
And
this guy, he was a correction officer, probably just to get him involved, which is kind of stupid, but it got us from point A to point B. I think he could be better in a potential sequel as he sort of falls into the role.
There's a lot of promise. That's the sad thing, is that they could, with this sort of being as you said, a reboot or soft reboot. There's so much promise for the next movie. I mean, you can have a Baxter Stockman. You could bring Splinter back. You have Splinter, and Krang and neutrinos.
You just mixed up Splinter and Shredder again.
Did I say Splinter or Shredder? I'm sorry. I keep saying Splinter or Shredder. You know what I mean. Splinter and Shredder and Shredder and Krang could have been,
Yeah, where was the banter between Shredder and Krang? It was just like, you will do this for me. All right, okay. But I have a problem. That's the other thing. Shredder wasn't out for revenge in this. He didn't seem like he was really out for revenge. It was more like, all right, I'm out of jail. So this alien guy wants to take over the world, and why not? He gave me this stuff and said it'll help us build an army. Let's try it out on these two thugs, because we don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. I thought, well, I feel like they cheated with the purple ooze. I feel like they really cheated because in all other iterations of Ninja Turtles, there had to be a catalyst for the mutation. Mm-hmm. It had to be around another animal or some kind of nonsense. So it seems like they just wanted to, how do I put this? Just speed up the process, really. It's we don't got any animals around here. Yeah. So it returned them to their ancestral animal. It's oh, dang, Baxter, I guess yours is a fly. Bummer for you, man.
Yeah, it would have been had they said, oh, I happen to have this DNA here, or something to that effect.
He totally could have done that. I feel like maybe there even was a scene about that, because I fully expected that to be the case. But whatever. It's MacGuffin juice.
Yeah, once again, I guess I steal liberally from other podcasts. Once again, from the Weekly Planet podcast, they had said they could have mentioned oh, I have this leather jacket I'm wearing, or this leather vest that I'm wearing is made out of real Warthog, or something to that effect. Oh, and I have these rhino skin boots. So like, at least something. So when it
some
activates
bit
the
of DNA would have been in there. Yeah, because there's always a combination DNA thing. But that's the other thing that honestly kind of pisses me off about this movie. In the 80s cartoon, Hamato Yoshi turns into Splinter, and part of his story arc is that he would like to be human again, and they try to help him on a few occasions. They never succeed, at least long term, and there's even an episode where Baxter the Fly mutates a whole bunch of people, and then they find a way to fix that. And then they like destroy the retro mutagen gun. I was like, you assholes! What about Splinter? Did you forget about your father figure? He kind of would like to be human again because you've always been turtles, so whatever. And that was the other thing. They're such dicks because Baxter Stockman made that thing and he wanted to turn himself human again, and the turtles are like, nah, we're not gonna help you. You've been mean to us. Even though Baxter Stockman in the cartoon is more or less a victim. I mean, he does some bad things of his own volition, but yeah, it's like, you dicks. Why would you do that? Help a brother out. So in this version, when the turtles are like, we could be human, I was like, oh, come on. Where was this shit when Splinter wanted to be human? Even in the new cartoon, they have a couple of characters that they're trying to demutate. They actually managed to retro mutagen and turn somebody back to human twice. And like they used it as like a wipe the slate clean at the end of a story arc at one point where they got all of New York City, like a whole bunch of people in New York City got mutated into these sort of Krang type things, because in that show the Krang is a race with an extra A. The Krang.
Oh, God.
And they used retro mutagen and they saved all those people and made them perfectly normal again. And since then they've like tried to demutate some other characters, and there was always like, well, Splinter sure would like to be human again someday, but now Splinter's kind of like, whatever. But in this one, Splinter was always a rat, and the turtles were always turtles. So this is all like Disney princess bullshit. Part of your world. Michelangelo wants to be part of your world, bro. But it does give them something to argue about.
And apparently you just got to just touch it on your hand and it'll just split your fingers open. You think splitting fingers would be a lot more traumatic.
You would think that there would be some pain involved. Like, Bebop and Rocksteady didn't seem like they were in pain either, which seems kind of odd. There was just like, whoa, this is kind of weird. Actually, I'm kind of glad that wasn't disturbing when they mutated, because I was kind of concerned that it would be. So I get a little wigged out by some of that stuff. Like, there were episodes of the 80s Ninja Turtles that were uncomfortable for me to watch, because I never liked the idea of like human mutation. So certainly a lot of things in X-Men wigged me out. But yeah, it wasn't too bad in this movie. The mutation scene was actually really interestingly animated, which, pretty cool.
And at least, like, they were guys, with their characters, they liked weird shit. You know what I'm saying? So for them being turned into things like
they were surprisingly okay with it. It was like, hey, dude, I'm a Rhino. What are you? I don't know. Oh, I'm a little piggy. You're a warthog. They call me Mr. Uh-oh. Disney's on your door. And, so Bebop and Rocksteady were great. But Casey was meh. April was kind of non-existent after she like cracked the case with Baxter Stockman. Mm-hmm. And it's really kind of, I don't know, plot convenience how Shredder gets introduced to Krang. It's like, well, you found my transportation rock, and I can, like, redirect that to bring you to me. So, let's do business. Okay.
But I can send you back.
Would have liked a little bit. It's like, oh, I know all about you, Shredder. It's like, you do? What? I need an adult? There's a tentacle monster just told me that he knows all about me. I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. So my friend just saw this. He really liked it. And he liked that Krang had all that nasty tentacle slime. Is like, well, I wonder what you do on a Saturday night.
They could have done more with that. They could have had him when he was fighting the turtles, like at least one scene where he kind of gets some of his slime on Michelangelo, and Michelangelo just like
he kind of got close, but I guess they never really committed.
Yeah,
he's all like, don't, dude.
Yeah, just to see Mike. I mean, because Michelangelo's probably the most funny characters to do that with, where he just gets freaked out.
It's like, oh, nasty.
Yeah, it's like just wiping it off, and it's not really coming off, or so.
Oh, dude, it's not coming off. Oh, oh, it stained my pants. That's why you shouldn't be wearing pants. On that note, yay, Michelangelo's not a rapist anymore.
Yeah, a creepy rapist.
Yeah, it was. I was not into creeper Michelangelo in the other movie because it just seems so wrong. It's like you were like her childhood pet, so that's kind of messed up, dude. We don't need to. Oh, have you heard about the Ninja Turtles porn parody that was recently made?
Yes. I've
10-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles with such great names as Donatello and Master Sphincter.
Yes, and I was gonna link it to Paul's page, but I think at the time I was sort of in a hurry, and then and of course curiosity gets the better of me, and I went on on Porn MD or whatever, and what it was is you could see the thumbnail, and then you click on it, and then it said removed by the proper owners due to copyright or whatever. So it was.
Oh, Viacom took that down?
Well, no, not Viacom. I think no, it was on the free sites, like Porn MD or whatever.
Okay,
and so oh no, if you want to see it, you have to go to the original people.
Yeah, it's something on their website, isn't it? I think it's free.
Oh, is it? Oh,
I think it is.
Okay.
I haven't looked into it really.
But to think that someone with animatronics is also in porn. Sort of. It's very.
I mean, they're fairly basic costumes from what I can see from the pictures.
Yeah, but their mouths and eyes move.
Oh boy, here comes the Five Nights at Freddy's porn parody. Worst trip to Chuck E. Cheese ever.
Chewbacca mom porn parody.
Nope. Yeah, lots of good interaction with the turtles in this. They're very entertaining. They did a good job with the turtles. They don't have Johnny Knoxville as Leonardo anymore. It was the guy who was in this. I was going to say in the suit, but the motion capture actor, Pete something. He was Leonardo in this, so good for him because he got a lot more lines than Johnny Knoxville did in the other movie. Well, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think I don't know any of the guys from this movie. I saw the credits and I'm like, these guys are
they're just actors.
Yeah, which I guess
I think is good because if you used famous actors as the turtles, that would be it wouldn't feel right. I honestly didn't think Johnny Knoxville did bad as Leonardo in the other one. I barely even thought of him as Johnny Knoxville, so there's that. But the other guy was just as good or better, so props to that.
But it wasn't in the 2007 movie. Wasn't the kid from American Pie,
actually the
Jason Biggs was Disney.
Jason Biggs was Leonardo in the 2012 cartoon until the third season. In the third season, well, he kind of fell off in the second season. Probably conflict with work. Mm-hmm. He had other gigs like Orange is the New Black. He was on that. And Seth Green took over as Leonardo. He's been voicing him since. Oh. So that was kind of an interesting combination of typical voice actors and people who were better known for film. Mm-hmm. Like Raphael was Sean Astin, Rudy.
Yeah. Rudy. I was going to say Samwise, but
Samwise, Gamgee, Rudy, Goonies. Yeah. So he was Raphael, Jason Biggs was Leonardo, as they were kind of more film actors. Though Sean Astin has since, he wanted to do cartoons, so he's been doing a lot more cartoons now. And the other two guys, Greg Sipes and Rob Paulsen, are both accomplished voice actors. So it was kind of splitting the difference with that cast. It was interesting. And Rob Paulsen, of course, was Raphael in the 80s cartoon, and he took over for Donatello in this one, and he's fantastic. He's always fantastic. So that works. And Greg Sipes is such a surfer dude in general, so he's just perfect for Michelangelo. A really great cast in that show. Yeah. Wouldn't have minded if they, carried over some of those voices, but in the 2007 CGI movie, it was also voice actor types. Nolan North was Raphael. Mm-hmm. He's Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake, yeah.
Yeah, and lots of other video game characters. And, oh gosh, what is his name? What is his name? Oh, he's so many cartoons. Leonardo was voiced by James Arnold Taylor, and he's in a lot of cartoons. Mm-hmm. So him and Michelangelo was voiced by a guy named Mikey, which is kind of funny. Mikey Kelly. He's done some cartoons, and Mitchell Whitefield, I think I pronounced that right. It was either Whitfield or Whitefield, was Donatello. They both did really well as Mike and Don, doing kind of the typical Mike and Don voices. And kind of amusing thing is Kevin Michael Richardson played a Stone General character, and now he's Shredder, and they sound pretty much the same. But in that movie, they also stunt casted Casey, April, and the main antagonist. The main antagonist was played by Patrick Stewart, which I guess that's kind of stunt casting. Patrick Stewart's, I mostly hear him on American Dad these days. They had him, and actually Chris Evans was Casey Jones before he was Captain America, but after he was Johnny Storm. Kind of fits more into the Johnny Storm level of Chris Evans. Like, Chris Evans is so huge now, so in more ways than one. That dude is ripped now. But so he played that role back in 2007, and April was Sarah Michelle Gellar. And she did fine.
I'm surprised they didn't get, what's his face, Freddie Prinze Jr. to be a voice. If Sarah Michelle Gellar is a voice, I'm surprised she didn't get her husband to.
I'm a little surprised too, because in the most recent Star Wars cartoon, Star Wars Rebels, Freddie Prinze Jr. is in that, and they later do live action Fred and Daphne.
Yeah.
I don't care anybody says that was good casting. And Matthew Lillard as Shaggy was also fantastic. Kind of think Linda Cardellini was awesome as Velma.
Yeah.
It was a hot Velma.
Yeah. Not so chubby.
Linda Cardellini's smoking, though. And she was especially back then.
So I also just wanted to mention that why would a guy giving cell phones to underworld figures keep track of cell phones?
Yeah, that seems to invite nothing but trouble.
Yeah, well, if you're an underground guy, I think you'd sell me the cell phone that can't be tracked.
Yeah.
I just happen to have this GPS right here that has the tracking information for the two cell phones I just gave out.
You're telling me that this Rhino and Warthog man didn't accidentally crush those cell phones at some point? That seems a little unlikely.
That would have been a funny scene where they smash it. Like Casey Jones is on his way to figure, where they're at, and then hey, what's this? Oh, I forgot. Oh, I broke it.
I gotta turn this thing off. Whoops.
And Casey loses the signal.
Yeah. Okay, here's another beef I had. Leonardo was all like, "We're not working as a team. We're not working as a team. You're not listening to me." I don't see any evidence of that. He goes off on that tangent when they are coming back from Brazil. It's like, we were totally out of sync. It's like, everybody seemed to be doing the best they could, man. They could have maybe coordinated efforts a bit more, but it's not like you were calling out, suggestions.
Yeah.
You don't blame them because you're not saying anything. Sheesh, man. What's wrong with you? And his brothers had every right to be mad about him hiding the fact that they could be human.
Yeah, that was. I think that was that. Okay, there was two scenes. That one certainly made sense, And they kind of like, oh, what about Mikey? Oh, Mikey is more heart than brain, or something like that. And it's like to me, that's a bit of an insult,
Yeah,
like
it's not unusual for Leonardo to say that kind of thing, but yes.
He's too stupid to make the decision for himself, and it's so selfish, like,
it is.
There's always going to be turtles. How about giving your brother a chance? How about saying, look, I would like
if
for you
this
to
is
stay
what
a
you
turtle.
want.
Yeah.
He shouldn't force his expectations on the rest of them because, what they do now is kind of crappy. I mean, they protect the city from the shadows. They don't need thanks or anything, but they protect the city from the shadows. They can't, quote, live normally. They can't do what most humans can do, which is, it'd be a bummer for another sentient creature to not be able to, interact with other sentient creatures. Like, they would probably get bored. I don't know. They got stuff, but you need a little interaction every now and then. And April, as attractive as she is, probably isn't enough.
Yeah, not for Turtle Man.
Yeah, exactly. And so when they're all like, I'll do whatever you guys want, Raphael just chucks that at the wall. There's probably a safer way of disposing of that.
Instead of just
like
throwing it against the wall.
That could occasionally that could probably cause some problems. just pointing that out there, Raphael.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, they're like, well, are you sure? You don't give people enough credit. You probably accept you now if you would show yourself to the rest of the world. It's like, what, and live a normal life? It's like, well, that was kind of what you've been pining for the entirety of this movie, but okay, great, you got over it. Leonardo was like, isn't it all about inner acceptance? It's like, oh, don't give me that bullshit. I want to catch a Knicks game somewhere other than above it. Yeah, that all seemed kind of, whatever. And like the police. The police chief was like, put your hands up. It's like, we're not monsters. Oh, they're monsters. Yeah. It's like, really? But you just got broken into by a bunch of ninjas and they stole something and you're detaining the weirdos that seem to be helping?
Yeah. I do have to say that you kind of read my mind on that scene also, that where when he goes they're monsters, and then Michelangelo looks so dejected. It's like, we're not monsters. That was like that kind of one, like that, and deceiving the brothers, and that scene where they're like, not that this movie's known for its emotional, beats, but when it's like, we're not monsters, it sort of, I felt really bad.
Yeah, that's the thing that this movie had that the other one did not. Heart. That's the thing. It's a different director this time, and it seems like the director definitely cared about the source material. The writers were the same, and it's kind of amazing that they did as well as they did, considering it was the same writers. Would also explain why there's so many issues here and there. But there were interviews with the suit actors, the motion capture actors, and some other people that were talking about the process of making the first movie. And they said when they were making that first movie, they weren't really sure what kind of movie they were even making. They couldn't determine if it was going to be a family-friendly movie or not. And there just seemed to be not clear direction from the director or the writers, and it was kind of a big mess. And it was like, well, yeah, the results speak for themselves. But this time, the director cared about the source material, apparently mostly about the 80s cartoon, which, as far as a lot of people are, that is Ninja Turtles. Comics? What are those? 2003 cartoon? Never heard of it. 2012 cartoon? It's for babies. That is verbatim what the casual audience says about all versions of Ninja Turtles that aren't the 80s cartoon. Oh, and the 1990 movie was the best. And that is the one I can agree with.
I just looked it up. The director is Dave Green, and he did that movie Earth to Echo.
Earth to Echo, and that was like his only other movie.
Yeah, everything else he's done was sort of like independent shorts and stuff like that. But
yeah. But the other guy, he had done other action movies, which was apparent in the action scenes. They may have sort of dialed it down on the action in some respects on this one, which is kind of disappointing, but it's certainly a way more entertaining movie, and it doesn't have it doesn't have a stick up its butt.
Yeah, the director of Part 1 did Wrath of the Titans, the much acclaimed sequel to Clash of the Titans, the remake.
Much acclaimed.
I did the sequel to a reboot, the Unwanted Battle Los Angeles.
I hear that was stupid.
Yeah, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. So.
Yeah. And of course, produced by Michael Bay.
Yeah, absolutely. And Darkness Falls. Was that a good movie? I don't know.
No.
Okay, well, let me see. A vengeful spirit has taken the form of the Tooth Fairy to extract vengeance on a town that lynched her 100 years earlier. Okay.
I don't even know what to say about that one.
So
definitely a better director this time, and it shows.
And hopefully he'll get, I mean, of course, the people, they move on to other things, but, I like what they've done with it, and I hope they make a sequel, even though all signs are probably pointing to negative.
I wouldn't go so far as saying that they definitely won't make a sequel, because even if this movie doesn't do super great, there's merchandising.
Yeah.
Those toys are going to sell.
And as of this afternoon on Rotten Tomatoes, 22% for critics, 51% for audience. So,
interesting. Yeah. See, this is where I think, and this is kind of something that I've noticed with other reviews that I've read for the movie. People who generally liked the first one tend to not like this one. But you seem to be the opposite case of that.
I like them both. I mean, the first one I felt was innocuous at best. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. I mean, of course, I hated the new look and I hated all the extra shit. But, and I hated that it felt like a fucking cell phone commercial. But I was like, all right, I'll take it for what it is, and then, that's actually gotten better. And this one, like I said, I had fun. I love that about summer movies. I just want a movie that makes me have fun.
Yeah. To this day, I bought multiple copies of all the other Ninja Turtles movies. I did not buy the 2014 movie. I probably will never buy the 2014 movie. I might buy this one.
Yeah.
And that is my seal of approval, I guess.
Right. If I'm going to spend a couple bucks on a DVD, not a couple bucks, but, it kills me.
Like $20.
Yeah, I remember growing my DVD collection. I go to like fucking Walmart and I see, the $5 bin or something, or like, or like the 4 movies.
Or you can find all the other Ninja Turtles movies.
Exactly. I think like they literally have for like $12 the first 4,
That's how I have so many copies.
So I think we should wrap it up. Unless you have any other points you want to make. I can't think of anything.
Think if there was anything else. I thought it was kind of stupid that April kind of strong-armed Casey into going with the Turtles. Just like, come on, man, the Turtles, hang out with them. I felt like Casey was just bland.
Yeah, Casey.
I've mentioned that before, and he was really talkative.
Yeah. No Jose Canseco bats.
Yeah. Tell me you didn't pay money for this.
It was a 2-for-1 sale. But I just...
the 2-for-1 sale. Cricket. You gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
See? Here we are quoting that movie, 27 years later?
Wise men say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza. I wish they had done like a callback to that one. It seemed like their pizza guy was fully understood like the deal with their pizza guy before. But I would have loved them to like show the first time that they got a pizza that way, because it could have been a nice throwback to that scene. And $5 off. You're 2 minutes late, dude. Oh, come on. I couldn't find the place. I believe that the pizza guy was played by Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Ninja Turtles. I think I saw that in the credits. And let's talk about the credits. Oh man, that remix of the 80s cartoon theme was the bomb.
Yes, absolutely. And
finally, I've been going to see Transformers. I've been going to see other movies with like iconic theme songs, and this finally somebody got it right. You take the old theme song and you modernize it and you put it in the movie. Mm-hmm. Finally. Well, I mean, technically it's a credits scene, but
yeah,
who cares?
It shows so much love and respect that, that they would, okay, here's what you wanted to see. And once again, I mean, maybe, for the people, for totally disregarding all the other iterations other than just like the 89 one, it's, I don't know, I liked it. I like the fact that, that they actually did a remake or a remix or whatever the case may be. I forgot how good, it was. I was like, and it's a stupid thing to say, but I forgot how good the song was. Like, I mean, it was updated, but like, I was like, kind of like singing along, and like, I caught myself singing along to it, and I didn't think I would.
I wish they had done the thing where they're like, where the character calls back. They didn't do that with the, like, he's a radical rat.
Oh yeah. Give me a break, Give me a break.
Yeah.
And of course, I've been conditioned by Marvel movies to actually sit and wait to see if there was a
post-credit
scene.
And I was like, of course.
I think
when I went to see Batman v Superman, I was sitting watching the credits, and one of the theater staff was like, "There's no after-credit scene. This isn't a Marvel movie." All right, thanks. Good to know. I don't quite trust you, so I'm gonna sit to the end. He was right. I should have trusted him.
You just want to get inside, you can start sweeping up this popcorn.
Yeah. So the best part of the credits is the start of the credit sequence with bright colors, cool drawings, and a really cool remix of the Ninja Turtles theme song with a little hint of ninja rap in it.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit. There you go. They do a shout out to Vanilla Ice.
Yeah. And he's actually, when you once again just sitting through the credits, they actually have like that song, the Ninja Rap Go Ninja Go, is actually like technically in the credits for when the movies, whenever they credit the songs.
Yeah, I think that's because that remix uses both of them, which is kind of an interesting way to credit it actually, because they only credit the original composers of the Ninja Turtles theme song from the cartoon, which was partially done by Chuck Lorre.
Chuck Lorre, yeah.
Big Bang Theory.
And he gets like a check. He gets a check for that.
For many years that song was not used, and then when Viacom bought Ninja Turtles, they brought it back, baby. Which was an excellent choice. So if you like Ninja Turtles, particularly the 80s cartoon, you're probably going to like this movie.
And I think if you sat through this podcast, if you're sitting through this podcast, you've probably seen it already, or you've probably already seen it. Or if you haven't, you probably will enjoy it. If you sat through us talking about it for so long. Would you like to go through how listeners can get to follow you on social media and other outlets?
Sure. My Twitter is @sketch1984. My Tumblr is sketch1984.tumblr.com. You can ask me questions on ask.fm/sketch1984. If you want to listen to my podcast, you can find it at podcast.toonamifaithful.com or soundcloud.com/toonamifaithful podcast, or look it up on iTunes, Stitcher, what have you. And we put out an episode every week, pretty much without fail. I mean, we failed on occasion.
Sleep or no sleep, you'll put out an episode, damn it.
I am currently delaying editing a podcast right now.
Sorry,
it's not your fault. My fault. Oh.
And then also, like I mentioned last episode, me and Matt got our press passes for New York Comic Con, so that's going to be pretty interesting. Every year has been like, it's gotten better both years, and I can only imagine what this year is going to be. I mean, I don't want to jinx it because this year probably suck, but no, it's been pretty good, and I look forward. I mean,
things have definitely gone uphill for you every year that you've gone. So now I'm thinking you'll go to this, and then Adult Swim will be like, "Hey, you want a show?" You can make a show. Here's some money.
XLR, and I'm playing Coop. The live action Megas XLR.
No, but true story. If they ever did a live action Megas XLR, they should totally get that guy who was the best friend on Reaper.
Oh, absolutely.
Remember that show Reaper?
So,
that guy is perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect for Coop. Actually, he's voicing Hunk, the Coop-like character in the new Voltron series, which, by the way, people should check out that Voltron series. Should be probably out by the time this podcast is out. It's supposed to go up on June 10th. All the episodes of the first season on Netflix, and it's from people that worked on The Legend of Korra, and it definitely shows in the animation and the designs. And it's Voltron, so giant robots, bitches.
And because in the show Reaper, I believe like his full name was like Sokolowski or something like that. But his nickname was Sock.
Yeah,
and that was which anyone named Sock, I instantly think of like fapping and letting them out in a sock. But
he probably did a lot of that.
And
I think there was some point when he had a girlfriend in that show. I don't know.
What I'm just saying is, I think because first his friend's name, I think first they just referred to him as Sock, and I'm like, when I think of Sock, I think of instantly my mind goes to horrible, dirty places. But then like I think later on they're like, oh, well, Sock is short for Sokolowski or whatever, or like some authoritarian character called him Mr. Sokolowski or whatever. So like that's where Sock came from. But coincidentally, in Megas XLR, Coop, his real name is like Koopalowski. So
interesting.
Coincidence? I think not. No.
I don't know. He definitely seems like a Coop to me.
Yeah. Oh, he would be. Yeah, absolutely. So
if only there was a half CGI Megas XLR movie.
Oh, sweet Jesus! I said if I won the Powerball, I would buy back the rights. Like when they had the whatever $100 million they had like last year.
Can we sneak Megas into the next Pacific Rim?
Oh, just put on a screen in the back. Sort of like a reboot. So,
yes. I think Jody and George have said something to the effect of they could probably get away with making a show called Gigas MLX or something and make essentially the same show. They just can't do Megas, and it's heartbreaking. I love that show. And if you love that show, I think you can still get it on iTunes. And you should, even though buying it probably won't do anything. Except for entertain you, because there's no other legal way to own it.
Yeah, like I have the episodes, the ones that I've acquired as files. I uploaded them, if you want to, or I put them on the hard drive from my PlayStation 3. And so like sometimes so what I'll do is on occasion, if I'm ever feeling down, I just put on a Megas XLR episode. It just cheers me up. It's such a weird kind of a,
I went to the DMV the other day right as it was opening, and there was a line. I was like, there is some kind of joke about there always being a line at the DMV here. And then I pulled up that GIF of Coop smashing the DMV with Megas. I was like, standing in line at the DMV. It was actually fairly efficient, all things considered. But like, seriously, a line even when they're not open. That is just that's the DMV.
So we'd like to tell people that if you want to find out more about this show, I don't know how we came across it, but you can visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. That's all spelled out, twostrangersonepodcast.net, where you can find links for everything show-related. You can find links to our iTunes page, which I don't know who uses iTunes anymore. Does anyone even have an iPhone? Well, I guess iPhones, yes, but no one has an iPad or an iPod. Or no one has an iPod anymore. I was looking. I was in the thrift shop the other day. Not the thrift shop.
Yeah, they can't even give those things away anymore. There was some kind of radio announcement. It was like, if you call now, we'll send in a free iPod Touch. It's like, so you can't even give those things away anymore, huh?
I had the 160 gig, and it was stolen from me. But I was,
it's a decent amount of space for music.
Yeah, I had 17,000 songs on it. That I
have some shows on legally. iTunes, so that would be useful because I don't have that much space on my phone.
Yeah. The 17,000 songs was I totally downloaded legally and purchased from my gigantic CD collection. No, but it was so weird. But if you still have an iPod and you listen to podcasts through your iPod, which is which is so weird that nowadays that's probably not how anybody listens to podcasts anymore. But if you do, if you have an iPhone, iPad, or iPod, you can find the links to our iTunes page, or you could just go on iTunes and search for Two Strangers One Podcast. If you have an Android device and you listen to podcasts, we are on the Stitcher app. That's STITCHER, the Stitcher app, which actually this past week, Stitcher got bought out by another company. And as of right now, they're not doing anything they're not changing Stitcher, but they're making things a little easier to find podcasts. I know they kind of promised that. And so I'm super excited. And so, I'm curious on where they're going from there. Like I said, Stitcher was bought up by another company, but they basically said, don't worry, nothing's changed for the most part. So if you don't have an iPhone, iPad, or iPod, you can find us on the Stitcher app where, I listen, Kevin Smith's, Smodcast, Chris Hardwick's The Nerdist, and of course, Sketches Baby, the Tsunami Faithful podcast, all available on Stitcher. You can write to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, all spelled out, twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. If you're looking for older episodes of Two Strangers on Podcast and you can't find it, you will find them on iTunes, any of the pages, because we've run out of space on the server. So I've uploaded all the old episodes to YouTube, so you can just go on YouTube and search for Two Strangers on Podcast. And we're on Twitter at Stranger Podcast, even though unfortunately Twitter, I'm not as active on Twitter as I want to be. And of course, everyone and their mother is on Facebook. So you can follow us on Facebook, and it certainly helps if you want to like this episode, share this episode, like our page, share the page, any way you can to get the word out. I greatly appreciate it. Just go to facebook.com/Two Strangers One Podcast. So that's about it. I can't think of anything else. I'm trying to think of. It's funny. Well, okay. Superfan Oscar wrote back into the show. He said, he said, because in the last episode I bitched about these two girls deleting their OkCupid account. He goes, those girls deleted their accounts because of you. Looking at that beard, anybody would run and hide. They probably joined the witness protection program. The fact that you've ever seen a pussy is amazing. So
classic Oscar.
And he goes, I have an idea. How about going to a blind school or institution? And then again, they'd feel your erroneous head and feel that awful beard. Oh, the love is back. Good to hear from you, Oscar. So with that,
I wish I had hecklers that were that creative.
So with that, we certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening and had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers on Podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Sketch.
Don't be a stranger. Peace. We're out. Bye.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double
it?
Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea,
Yeah,
man.
is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to the show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15 and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonePodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonePodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.